Deontay Wilder taking a stand against the WBC franchise title, explaining why he doesn't like the idea and won't accept if the WBC offer it to him. I'm just listening to the fans. I'm listening to my heart as well, too. Let's listen to the clip from Deontay Wilder.
Many people ask me about the franchise belt or whatever. I don't know much about it. I'm is what I'm hearing. It allows you to stay a champion. You don't have to fight mandatories and stuff like that. And if that's the case, then I'm not interested in that. Yeah, I want the mandatory. That's what makes the sport. Guys work their way up, work hard to become number one and number two, and then become a mandatory. Why would you crown someone that eliminates all that? You don't have mandatories and different things like that. I love to be able to have a mandatory, him sitting, and the more he wait, the more he get frustrated about certain things, and then when the fight comes, you had me waiting all this time. I'm ready. It's always the build up to the fight. And when you take that away, when you take certain things away from boxing, you take the charisma away from it. You take the excitement away from it. And that's what I don't want to do. I don't want to take the excitement away from anyone. Hopefully, nothing.
I think we've heard enough, right? We're good. Right, we're good. We get it, Deontay. I will say this. Credit to him for obviously coming out here and being like on record saying, hey, I won't take it. Because no one else has done that, from my understanding. I mean, obviously Loma and Canelo didn't do that. They petitioned for this. From my understanding, like guys like Jose Ramirez, Gary Russell Jr., they've never come out and really denounced the franchise belt at all. This is the first WBC champion to really come on record and denounce what they're doing. So credit to him for that. Hopefully he sticks to it. Now, in my opinion, I always try to take things again to the more macro sense. And I keep having this reoccurring thought in my head every time we talk about this franchise champion. And it's not just specific to this discussion. It can be used to the proliferation of belts, period, right? The WBA regular champion, interim champion, the intercontinentals, the silver, the diamonds, all those belts, right? They all proliferate the alphabet soup of championships. I have been of the mindset for a while, and I don't know if I voiced this, but I believe I've have voiced this in the past, but I'm going to voice it more now. This is clearly, in my opinion, a way for the industry to devalue fighters. That because there's not a singular champion, right? We can't look at one guy in any division and go, yep, that's the guy. Or even with one sanctioning body now. We can't look at an individual sanctioning body and go, hey, look, that's the one guy at that sanctioning body. Because of that, it devalues the leverage and the negotiation power of all these champions and all these fighters. And I think it's just a really lazy tactic used by sanctioning bodies in tandem with promoters, maybe networks, to devalue fighters' negotiation power and therefore have a larger share of revenue. And on top of that, as is stated in Lance Pugmire's piece today, this is just another way to collect sanctioning fees on the very base level of greed and sort of monetary concern. But I think it's more than that. I think it, again, is a part of a system that devalues fighters, so therefore they have less leverage. None of these champions can go to their promoter, a network, or whoever and say, I'm the number one guy in this division. And I think that should be a cause of concern for these fighters. I hope more fighters are thinking like Deontay Wilder, at least in this aspect, that this is a bad idea. This devalues in some nature to the sport. Now, he talks about entertainment. I don't think that's really what it is. But hopefully more fighters are thinking like, look, this doesn't give me any value as a fighter, as a brand, as a legacy. Why are you doing this? Start thinking about that more, fighters, because I believe it's a purposeful act to devalue your leverage and your power when it comes to wage share. Guys, any thoughts? Obviously on Deontay Wilder, we're sort of rejecting the franchise tag. And if you have any thoughts on my rant, you can have thoughts on it. But that was my rant. Gary?
I was going to let Rob go first because he's more into heavyweight boxing than I am. To me, it's good that he rejected the title, right? But I don't think the WBC likes that because the WBC just wants to collect sanctioning fees. So if they have two champions, that's more fees they can, collect. If they have three, even, you know what I'm saying? It's you don't want to lose Deontay Wilder as a champion because he generates a lot of revenue, right? He gets big purses and you get to tax those big purses. So you don't want to lose him. But at the same time, if you can add more champions and still collect from Deontay Wilder, that's a double win for the WBC. But, the difference, though, between Wilder and the other two champions is this is the only belt Wilder has. So if they took it from him and gave the WBC and vacated it, would he really still technically be a heavyweight champion? You know what I'm saying? Like,
according to Mauricio, he is. Yes, he would be.
But again, that's a technicality. But in terms of name, it's hard to say that because Rob, we've watched the clips. Mauricio Suleiman's out there saying this is not a new championship; it's a designation. Yeah. He has been out there on record saying that it's not a new championship. But in the case of, like Gary says, in Deontay Wilder, if he is to be designated something else and his WBC belt is then given to Dylan White or whoever, right? How can you call him a champion when the franchise tag you have been out there saying it's not a championship? And now I know he has come out there and said it is a championship at a later point in time and contradicted himself.
Yeah, big time.
So I just, it's hard to believe anything here from the sanctioning bodies, or to at least take them for face value, because this, in every sense of the discussion here, it just seems shady, right? Now, Rob, I know you haven't jumped in here, so I want to get your thoughts on again, Wilder rejecting this as well, and then also just the proliferation of belts and designations or whatever this is.
Yeah, no, fair play to Wilder. If this is, I know in the past, I've always said, fucking hell, he just talks and talks and talks and talks. Sure, I mean, at some point, he's like a watch. He's going to be right a couple of times, right, a day. But if he means this and this is the truth, if it isn't offered to him, although I've seen a video of Mauricio, Semi started like he was clowning Wilder a little bit because he kind of said, no, this is for the best. This is for the best in the division. It's, but then he said, Wilder's team haven't, he hasn't petitioned for this. He hasn't asked for this. So no, he's not having it. He's busy and this, he's got.
Quickly, do you think that if Wilder were to petition for it, that he would get it automatically? Because I would say yes. I would say if Wilder and his team actually did petition.
So, yeah, because I mean, Rob said it was from Boxing Social interview. It was a really good interview because he brought up the Devin Haney thing. He asked about Lomachenko being undisputed when he faces the winner of Comey. He said, even though he's not the WBC champion, and Mauricio's like, well, he is the WBC champion. He said, no, and he was like, so yes, he would be. He goes, yeah, but Devin Haney's got the belt, and he's like, yes. It's like, what the fuck is going on? But but yeah, Wilder, if he makes his stance, and even if it's offered or he's instructed his team, don't go pursuing making me the franchise champion. That's fine. Then good on him. Then great. Slightly easy to now say he wants to face mandatories, considering now Fury has been elevated to the mandatory position. And that fight's already made, so I guess that's easy. But no, I can't sit here and say he doesn't mean it. He's lying. He's going to take it if it's if fair enough. He's out there in the media saying he doesn't want it, and whether his reasoning is all garbled and you sort of half switch off because sometimes that's what you tend to do with a Wilder sentence. But is valid, his reasoning's kind of valid. What he says I agree with, because that's been the whole stance behind, well, Dillian White's been number one for however long and he'd never got his shot. What the fuck's going on? But Wilder kind of said, the guys build themselves up into a position and then they get their shot. But for me, about all the bouts, it is becoming absolutely ridiculous. I've seen a whole debate today, like, the WBC or this, that, and the other regarding the championship bout, and I know you're going to talk about it later with the clenbuterol thing. For me, now,
by the way, I do think they are separate issues. I know people might connect these issues, but I think they are separate issues.
Well, yeah, but it just falls under the
sanctioning body, so therefore
it's the WBC franchise thing, and it's the WBC that aren't following up on people pop in for whatever it is. Yeah. But so yeah, it's like, for me it's the IBF now. They're the ones that at least they enforce mandatories, at least blah 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 blah. But I'm up for just scrapping the lot and just, I know then it would put them under pressure, but like the Ring magazine is for the number one guy versus the number two guy. And now if you can build yourself up in rankings and take that number two spot, I don't know, we're potentially getting the best versus the best for the title. And I don't know. We saw it recently with Taylor and Prograis. That was for the ring title, considered maybe the two best. You can argue Ramirez, obviously, in that time he became, but at least it's just an argument about, I don't know, is that guy number two or should so-and-so be number two? But if there's some kind of system where points against certain fighters, you might then find other matchups getting at a better standard because that guy wants to elevate himself by earning like more, I don't know, ranking points or whatever, because he fought a better opponent than another guy having to fight 3 times to earn the same amount of point, kind of thing. So I don't know, the bout situation, if a casual is coming in, like, look, this weekend we're going to have all these new boxing fans. How are we going to explain to them not just the WBA Super, the regular, the interim, or the WBC Silver, the Pearl, the WBA Gold, but now the franchise thing?
You just don't.
Like, so there's this. Oh, is it about? Well, it's not about, but he's the franchise champ. Okay, so if someone beats him, he's the franchise. No, he gets a WBC Diamond belt. It's like, wait, check me out. This is just bullshit. You know what I mean? So I don't know if this is like definitely a deliberate thing for them to devalue, like you think. I don't know, but
yeah, that's my theory. It's just a theory. Just a wild.
I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying, but I just more along the lines of Gary that this is just another way to bring more money in by having.
Well, I think I think that as well, and then I think promoters love it.
We do, hang on, air quotes, know that the money from a WBC franchise fight goes to it. The WBC receive none of that. It just goes to their affiliated programs. So, yeah. Okay.
Well, I was going to say something else, but I think I forgot what I was going to say. But I think you guys made excellent points. I really don't need to retread ground. I agree with everything that you guys have said. I think the boxing community is in agreement here at some point. Like, this is like the one thing I feel like we do have a consensus on in this community. Like, whether you're a Matchroom fan, a PBC zombie, whatever, right? We agree sanctioned bodies are bullshit. You know, like that's at least one thing we can all huddle around the fire and agree upon. And I will say this:
at the end of the day, we want the best fights made. We want to see the best fights. Sometimes those bodies get in the way of that. Absolutely. Sometimes it's promoters or whatever, but it's just a frustration. And we've got our own opinion. Who's like the best?
Oh, yeah,
you know, the better ones. So I don't know. It's just international bouts and intercontinentals and it's
EBUs, Commonwealth, NABF.
They're all right. There isn't a Commonwealth silver title, you know what I mean? It's like at least it's like of an area, and then I don't know, but yeah, it's super frustrating. But as fans, yeah, I guess we are kind of I've not seen anyone out there going like WBC. What a fantastic job they're doing right now. And yes.
And I will say this: Mauricio came out and said, like, this is like the point of this is to alleviate champions from mandatory, so they can go fight unifications and such, right? But literally within all of their rules and regulations, every single sanction body, there is a line that talks about unifications taking precedence over mandatories, and every single sanction body. So they made a new title for a rule that they already have to fix an issue that, in theory, that rule should fix. But they just don't follow that rule ever. You know, you brought up the Josh Taylor Prograis fight, and obviously Taylor has, 2 mandatories lined up. Ramirez has 2 mandatories lined up. We're not getting that fight probably till 2021. When that fight should have happened summertime of 2020, honestly. Why? Because sanctioning bodies. Because they want that extra piece of the pie. And it's just frustrating. I'm over it. I'm over giving sanctioning bodies any praise.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I like you say, their sort of idea is that, I don't know, Canelo from now here on in is only in super fights. Now I know that's sort of the case because it's Canelo and he's always in a fight, but this means he doesn't have to face who I don't know who's WBC. Who's his WBC mandatory?
It would have been Charlo.
Although, but we'll take that anyway. But it just mean in cases, right? I don't know. Say if it would have been
like the Triple G Mando, Zemarata. That
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, let's see a big fight.
Let's talk about that, right? Because like if Charlo didn't want to, I mean, if Canelo didn't want to fight Charlo, he could just drop the belt. Like Canelo doesn't need a belt at this point of his career, right? Like doesn't matter. He could fight Bivol at 68, and it would be the biggest fight in boxing without a belt. So if he drops the belt, now the WBC doesn't collect anything on those $35 million purses of Canelo. So they had to do something.
And on top of it, I'm really curious because obviously with Canelo, it's always a case of, well, did Canelo say this or did Oscar say this? Like who's the one that's wanting this or that's leaking the information or telling the story? That's always, I think, now a factor with Canelo news. Switching back to the franchise petition from Canelo's team, I am curious, was that a Canelo move or was that an Oscar move?
Or was it a WBC move because he said fuck you to the WBC before, right? So I don't know whether that was a bit of a...
But when we reverse to today, right, talking about Wilder and petitioning, right, the language has always been from Mauricio that fighters have to sort of petition for this, at least from my understanding. Or at least their camps do.
He did say that, but I wonder in the Canelo, the first one that was ever done, it's we're giving this to not... nothing ever came out that I know of, the Golden Boy or whoever asked to be made a thing.
Are we assuming that Mauricio Sulaiman is going to be in LA for Devin Haney fight? For his first title defense?
Doubtful.
Really?
I think he'll be there.
If he's there, I'm going to ask him some questions, guys. It's going to be great.
Okay.
Because I'm on a warpath this fight week. It's going to be great. And if Mauricio's on the hit list, I'm excited.
If you ask him about that, Matt, he's going to go into Sammy Sosa when you ask him about steroids. Just act like he doesn't speak English. I don't understand your question.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. My English is not that good. Next question. I'm not answering that. Yeah.
My English not that good.
That's coming.
Also, think about it, Matt. You might get the WBO guy there as well because Billy Joe.
That's right.
But if you could pick him out of a lineup, I'd be very impressed.
Dude, I have to go on his Twitter profile a lot and just examine that photo, man.
Find the common denominator in all these pictures. That must be him.
I think it's like a mustache, right? The guy has a mustache. It's really definable. Anyways.